Hey guys, in this video we're going to be checking out the Hot Toys Avengers Age of Ultron, the Scarlet Witch 6 scale figure. So she gets herself a display stand, which is the same Avengers Age of Ultron stand that we've seen before. The only difference on the front, Avengers Age of Ultron Scarlet Witch on the front placard there. You have your adjustable waist clip, which is a little difficult sometimes to get around her waist, but I will give it to its credit. It certainly holds things in place for displaying her. Her outfit, she's got a black dress, black leggings. She even has these leather arm, I don't know what you would call them, like little arm sleevelets that are a faux leather. And then she's got a red leather jacket. She favors more a longer trench coat in the later movies, but kind of dig in the short jacket here. I've also gone ahead and already put the necklaces around her neck. She comes with two. One is like a little couple of metal rings, and the other one is kind of like a ruby locket. And then underneath that, she's got a lace pink top underneath her. Again, it's kind of like a dress. And it's polka dots there around the collar. Her face sculpt, I think, is dead on for looking like Elizabeth Olsen. It's actually funny that the Scarlet Witches seem to look more like Elizabeth Olsen, and yet they've struggled so much to get a Black Widow that looks like Scarlett Johansson. The Civil War, I think, is one of the better representations of Scarlet. But they seem to, like, right off the bat, nail a perfect likeness here of Scarlet Witch. Of the coloring and the shading around the eyes. Eyes look like they're a little vacant. Maybe they could have afforded a little bit more wetness onto the actual eyeball portion. I like that they've given a slight dark, like a dark cranberry color here to her lips. I think it's a suitable flesh tone too. It's not too pale. It doesn't have that weird kind of coloring sometimes that 6 scale figures have where it's almost like a brownish skin tone. The skin tone here actually I think is just right. A little bit of blush here also on the cheeks. I'm also not normally too keen on the rooted doll hair that they've used for a lot of the female characters. Well, thank goodness they don't use it for the male characters. Don't normally care for it, I have to admit. But, you know, there's something about Scarlet Witch that she seems to get away with some things that other figures I have such issues with. As much as I didn't like the face sculpt for Black Widow, I also didn't like the fact that she used real hair. I wish they would have gone more to sculpting hair. But Scarlet Witch, actually quite the contrary. I think giving her real doll hair was actually nicer looking than giving her, you know, the sculpted hair. It's not to say that it doesn't have its own similar problems as every other doll hair. You always kind of just manhandling it, kind of just getting it just right. Never seems like it flows just right. I like the curls that they've got in her hair here. Stitch work is quite nice here on the jacket, running stitching down the side sleeve. Has some stitching as well right underneath the arms. I dig also that it's got a darker shade around the lower portion, the lower area of the jacket here. Same also can be said for the sleeves. It's darker here than it is as you get further up the jacket. They do give you a zipper or the indication of a zipper, but the other end is not a zipper, so you can't close it shut. For leather, I think it's one of the closest faux leather on a 6 scale figure. And then for faux leather as well, she's got these little leather sleevelets. Now, I did get 2 of these when I picked up Scarlet Witch here. So she comes with an extra pair. I don't think, looking at the 2, I don't think there's anything different between these ones and these ones here. It's got the same stitching, kind of like a faux zipper going on there. I guess they give you an extra one just in case you have any problems or maybe you rip these. Love also the sculpting on the fingers where she's got all these extra rings. Flesh tone gets a little darker around the knuckle portion, lighter and paler in the palm portion. don't spend nearly enough time really looking at the hands, but the hands are sometimes overlooked in favor of the face sculpt, but the hands are just done as equally good. Black nail polish there, and a couple of rings, and a few bracelets there. She gets these leggings, these somewhat faux lace leggings. The only problem with them is you gotta be careful that they don't start running, literally to the same way that regular leggings will run, especially if you get them caught around areas, or if you pull them too much, that can cause a little bit of this just kind of separation here of the lace. I like that the lace, at least in the leggings, have more of a tattered look to them, and that hinders as well the fact that they already have that tatteredness, because like the areas that aren't ripped and shredded still of course hold up well. When you get to the areas that are a little bit more thinner, those are the areas that are prone to getting this little seam separation. And then she's got her boots there. The laces get a little lost, I have to admit. They're not the nicest of laces. There's no real distinct separation between the laces and the rest of the boot. That it does read a little bit more like a sculpt rather than an actual lace. And then you've got your underside treads. Very nice. A little bit of like a dirt added to the bottom just to give it a realistic look. She also has a rather annoying lace underskirt, which seems to ride up a lot. You might find yourself doing this a lot of times, just so that, you know, she doesn't have her underwear showing. Just want to pull that back down here. Sculpt on the legs are nice. Of course, because they're bare legs, you're going to see the articulation in the knees. But that's not certainly something that can be helped here, unless really they were to cover it in rubber, and I'm really against rubber covered bodies. Her accessories, she gets a lot, with actually most of them being hands. Not counting the ones that she has currently in the socket, she's got an extra 8 hands. Hands for holding things, such as the supplied Heart of Ultron. It's nicely painted there in gunmetal and some little accent areas that are red. But you can get it and put it in her hand. It sits a little loose, I have to admit. But I guess if the hand is upright, it'll hold a lot better than, of course, holding it forward. Holding it forward, mileage may vary and time may vary as to how long she'll actually be able to hold that. Then as well, she's got something that's carried over to the other Scarlet, which is some hands with gradient translucent fingers running on the tips there. And she comes with a couple of those different gestures and whatnot. The rings, luckily, and placement of bracelets stay consistent with all the hands. More of those translucent fingers. I love how it has that translucent, I say translucent, slightly see-through, red down to the flesh tone of the hands. Then she gets a couple of the spellcasting energy flames, red flames, which has that same translucence, although it starts clear at the tips, and then it gets gradually more kind of reddish, almost borderline, kind of more of an orangey red, to be honest. And the side, basically any of the things that are leaving the main body of the flame here gets that clear gradient. I like that. These can be a little bit more trickier to get into the hands. The one thing you want to be looking for, and I looked at these a couple of times, finally figured it out, that you have to kind of look at the holes, these little hole sections here. There's one there, and then there's one there. That will sort of be the guide for you as to then getting the hands in place. You kind of have to get the fingers through, and then the hole serves as the guide for the thumb, then to get the hands to properly hold the flames. You won't get this the first couple of times that you do this, but if you just stay patient with it, these hands do hold them. It's just again a matter of lining the thumbs up to the flames, or at least to the hands here. The patience of actually getting the flames in her hand, I think, pay off when you eventually get something looking like this, which I think looks really good and fairly accurate to how it looked in the movie. Again, my biggest struggle is just really lining up the flames to the hands, but once you accomplish that, that's how she's likely going to be displayed on my shelf. Posability, you'll get your standard fare with Scarlet Witch here. You have a full rotation on the head, up and down hinge. Shoulders hinge out, forward and back. Not restricted, surprisingly, by her leather jacket. You can move the arms actually quite easily. A swivel in the bicep, double hinged elbow, rotation in the wrists. She has an upper torso crunch as well as a waist swivel, and of course your forward, back, and out motions on the legs with a top swivel on the thigh, double hinge on the knee. Of course, being careful, mindful of those lace leggings. And she does also have mild pivot up and down on her foot and a full rotation on her boot. Even with her first figure release here from Age of Ultron, I think Hot Toys right away nailed the likeness here to Elizabeth Olsen. Something that I still think Black Widow has struggled with getting a fair, accurate read. This figure I think turned out really good, though older. She does come with all the necessary accessories that one would need. Flame attachments are nice, a little bit of a struggle to get them onto her figures, but the end result, nice touch overall from Hot Toys. Today we're checking out the Hot Toys Avengers Age of Ultron. This was a 6-scale figure release of Scarlet Witch. If you guys like what you saw in this video and like to be a part of this channel, your subscribe button, click away. Also, if you like 6-scale figures, including Hot Toys, there's also going to be playlists there for you for your viewing pleasure. I'll see you guys next time.